Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Castro. Welcome to the live show here on Jacob's Aquarium. It's time to talk about the hobby, the Planet Tank hobby. This wonderful hobby. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love doing this show and talking to you guys and seeing you guys in the chat room. It's so much fun. Welcome back everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. So let's go ahead and open the show and start with my topic of the week. I wanted to just let you guys know about what we're going to be doing this weekend in Glendale, California. You guys probably already know I do store tour videos, basically where I go to fish stores and I do tour the store on camera and stuff. And you know, it's been hard to book those videos because so many stores just tell me no right off the bat, you know. But we were lucky to get Tropical Imports in Glendale, California, to say yes, and so they agreed to the video, and we're going to be filming that video this Saturday. Are we in May? I think we are in May. Yes, we are. May 16th. And if you guys would like to be there, if you guys are in the area in Glendale, California, and you'd like to be in the video, or you just like to say hi, whatever, meet me, it's the store is just Tropical Imports in Glendale, California. So you can Google it and find find the directions to the store. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I love doing the store tours. It's so interesting seeing, you know, the ins and outs of every fish store because they're all different. They all do things differently. So May 16th is when we're going to be doing that, and then also. Once I'm done filming the show, once I'm home and after I edit the video and everything, I'm going to be airing the video on the live show first before I upload it. So anybody that watches the live show will be the first one to see it. So that's going to be pretty cool. And it's going to be a rather long video. So, you know, usually the store tours are around, I would say maybe like almost an hour long video. So you guys can sit back, relax, and watch the live show. You know, pull YouTube up on your TV, you know, and it'll be like you're watching TV. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love doing the store tours. It's just such a interesting video to do. And actually, Tropical Imports is already on YouTube. The guy Jim Stein from LA Fish Guys on that channel. He actually already made a couple of videos there, so if you guys want to, I guess, get a preview of what the store is going to look like, you can watch his video. But my video will be a little bit different because we'll be touring the whole store. His video was kind of just like a little, you know, here's the store, we're done. You know, so. All right, so now it is time to introduce my guest that we're having on this week on this show. He is a YouTuber that makes really, really interesting videos. In particular, I watched one of his videos titled The Penis Eater. And when I saw the title, I was like, okay, how can this be related to fish tanks? But when I watched, I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So he's a YouTuber, makes really awesome videos. I encourage you guys to check him out. And he is Will Hardy from Hardy Aquariums. Hey, Will, how are you?
Great, Jacob. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining me, my friend. It's great to have you here. So let's go ahead and start with how you got involved with the hobby. Tell me about that.
So I was in college. It was my sophomore year, and I was living in a house with four other guys. This was down in San Diego, and one of my roommates had a fish tank back home, and then he brought it down to the house that we were living at. And I just fell in love with it, man. It was a 10-gallon tank, and it had giant Danios in it. It had neon tetras, a plecostomus. You know, too small for the for
Yeah.
plecostomus, but it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and I fell in love with that tank, and so I think a week after he brought it down, we went out to Petco and I bought the 16-gallon bow front that I still have actually.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you have two tanks then?
I have two tanks set up. It's funny because I have a 10-gallon and a 40-gallon that aren't set up right now just because I don't have room, you know. But so I have a 16-gallon bow front and then this 55-gallon back here.
Oh, cool. So tell me about the 55. What kind of plants do you have in there? Because I see you got some angelfish that look beautiful, by the way, but you got lots of plants. Tell me about the plants.
Thank you. Okay, so there's quite a few different plants in here. I have Okay, I just picked up a plant. I think it's giant high grow. I want to replace it with the Rotala indica that I have in there. I
Okay.
have Trident Java Fern that's dying right now. I don't know why. I have Dwarf Pennywort, Anubias, regular Java Fern Crypts. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you tell me about the equipment? Because I'm always interested. I'm always interested to see what people are using to grow their plants. Are you using CO2 or any of that fancy stuff, or are you just like the sticking with nutrients? Dosing once a week.
So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I don't have CO2 set up on this tank. I've always tried to get away without it, and I have to say that if you don't use CO2, your tank will go through cycles of crashing and then coming back to life. So
I
right now I'm
completely
kind of
agree.
in a weird, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of in a weird cycle right now. But I have a Finex Ray 2 fixture. I use Finex fixtures on all my tanks. I think they're really good. And then I have Eco Complete, um, Driftwood, and I don't dose that often actually, but I do water changes every week, and that really helps replenish the nutrients.
So then, basically, with this tank, you're just relying on light and good substrate, then, right?
Basically, that's about it.
That's
Yeah.
incredible because the plants look very healthy. So that should be a good testimonial to you guys in the chat room. If you're on a low budget, you can grow fairly low demanding plants in an environment like that with just planted tank substrate and good light. I talk about that all the time in my videos actually, but some people don't believe me, but you can. Will is definitely proof of that.
It is possible. I will say that if you use CO2, you will absolutely get better results. But
Oh
for
yeah.
someone on a budget or something, I would recommend starting out with some low light plants, putting them in your tank, and just enjoying them.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you really don't need to go into this hobby with a whole bunch of money and CO2, highlight all this fancy stuff. You could just go into it with the basic stuff and still grow plants because there are some plants that are just not that demanding. So I completely agree.
Nice. It's true. Yeah. And I would, do your research. Check. If you don't do your research, you're going to probably end up spending money on plants that'll just die. I've done it.
Exactly.
I'm sure, Jacob, you've probably done
I've
it
done it
too.
many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how you got into the hobby in general. How did you uh, get into YouTube to making YouTube videos and stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, let's see. My whole life, I always made videos, and they were really dumb, just funny videos. My friends and I would make like jackass videos of us doing stupid stuff, and I started using YouTube to look at different people's tanks. I just wanted to see like what was out there, what people were doing, and I thought like, oh, you know what, I could do that. So I put a few videos out, mostly care guides just for different plants or fish. And then I put a video out. It was how to silence your Aquarium quiet flow filter.
Hmm.
Because I don't know about you, but my tanks are right next to my bed and I can't have
Oh,
noise. It's
mine
killer.
mine are too. You see these two big, gigantic mother, you know what?
Yeah, oh yeah.
These things, when they turn on in the morning, when the lights turn on and everything, it is just it's pretty noise deafening. But yeah,
It,
they're in my room now, so I try to do the same thing, to do whatever I can to keep them quiet. And thankfully, the only thing that's super noisy is just one of the Castro LEDs because the cooling fan is just it's spins and it's so loud. But
yeah, it's
yeah,
tough. I guess for you at night, the lights turn off, so
oh
at
yeah,
least it won't keep you up at night. I know when I had that Aqueon quiet flow filter, it was so noisy and just that constant dripping sound, it killed me. I couldn't do it. So I
oh
put the
gosh,
video out and it got like about 1,000 views. And I was like, okay, that's pretty solid. I was expecting like 20 views here and there, and I was happy with that. So after that video came out, it got me motivated and I started making more videos and putting more time into it.
that's really cool. So do you do YouTube as like are you a partner or are you doing it to like to profit from it or are you just doing it for fun?
I am a partner,
Okay.
and I do it for fun. It's something I just enjoy doing. Um, and I don't monetize my videos right away. I usually wait a few months before I monetize them. If I see one video that's trending and it's getting a lot of views, then I might choose to monetize it. Um, and that's more just so I can take that money and put it back into my channel
It's
so that I can keep putting out videos. It's not like I'm getting the money and going to the casino or something.
yeah, yeah. So many people they tell me the same thing. They're like, "Oh, they tell me you must be making like a lot of money." It's like it's really not a lot, but I mean, truly, you know, I think that is the typical thing with most YouTubers. Especially like small guys like us. It's like they mostly put a lot of their profit, their revenue, whatever, back into their production. Like, I mean, that's what I did with all my gear and stuff, and but yeah, that's what most of us do. But so many people have that misconception, huh? That like you make tons of money on YouTube if you have over 5,000 subscribers or something. It's really
Yeah,
not the
no, it's
case.
true. You don't make a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's nice that you can kind of fund your hobby a little bit with the money. But yeah, no one that I know of is getting like super rich off of YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I personally believe, like, I mean, based on what I've seen, you have to have like at least over a million. I mean, probably half a million you can make decent money, but upwards in that range to really be able to say, okay, I make a living from YouTube. You really have to be pretty popular. So
Yeah, you do. And now they're changing the terms and conditions a little bit, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that,
I
but
heard about that. Yeah.
yeah, and I know they can charge subscriptions now so that you don't get any ads in the videos. So who's gonna know if people are gonna pay, $10 a month just to skip the ads? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it's like I wouldn't do it because most ads you can skip. I mean, if you watch videos from small partners, generally they aren't the like 15-second ads you can't skip or the 30-second ads you can't skip.
Right.
So you only have to wait like 5 seconds. So like, what's the point of paying monthly just so you can save 5 seconds of your life every time you watch a video?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's 5 seconds. That's no big deal.
yeah. And it's like, I'm not sure how that would work out with the amount of revenue that partners make. Like if it would be the same as somebody watching the video and viewing the ad versus somebody that's subscribed and paying monthly for it. Like I wonder how that would be different because I mean if the subscription gives generally less money to the content creator, I mean it's like we're already not making enough money as it is. So anything less than
Right.
that would just not make sense. So I hope that they get that figured out. But I mean, I'm sure YouTube has done some pretty wild things in the past and surprised us. So hopefully it's nothing, not a big change.
Hopefully not. Not like that Google Plus nonsense.
Uh, yeah, when that came out, I was like, what the hell is Google Plus? What am I supposed to do with this? And then it's like, connect to your YouTube account, do this, do that. And it's like, why?
Yeah, that was kind of killer, man. I don't like it when companies like force stuff on you.
Yeah.
I think the product or whatever should speak for itself. So when they made everyone get Google Plus accounts, it was so frustrating.
Yeah. And especially it's like, what we're doing here, doing the live show and what other people do, making videos, we're the whole reason why YouTube is YouTube. And you think that they would give us that amount of decency to like give us a choice if we want to, have a Google Plus account or do this or do that. But I mean, YouTube sometimes I mean, to me, it seems like a dictatorship sometimes, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Um,
well, they do. I mean, I know they take 55% of all, or we get 55% of
right.
all
And then
ad
they take the
revenue, right?
rest. Yeah.
They take the rest. That's a big cut.
Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, it is a big cut compared to other advertising, services. AdSense seems to pay the most, and that really helps benefit partners. So very interesting. Hopefully, it's not a big change on YouTube because I just want stuff to stay the same.
I
Would you
do
agree?
too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So, tell me about how many videos do you make a week, and what do you try to focus on primarily on your channel? Like, I know you focus on the hobby, but like, do you mostly just do care guides or uh, species profiles? What kind of videos can people expect to see from your channel in the future?
Well, so for a while, I was doing one video a week, and I would try to upload it on the weekend, kind of at like a peak time, just to get more views and stuff.
Hmm.
Lately, I've been super busy with school, so I haven't been doing it once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but definitely trying to keep it consistent. And I like to focus on, I do like care guides for plants and for fish. I also like to find ways where people can save money.
Hmm.
So I look at a lot of equipment and I'll use it for a while. And I try to buy the cheapest equipment that I think is going to last a long time. And then I will make a video about it so people know, like, hey, this is a $20 filter. Is it any good? Yeah, it'll last you for 3, 4, 5 years. That seems like a good deal. And that's generally been my philosophy with the channel.
Okay, so basically just like product reviews, you mean?
Yeah, definitely lots of product reviews.
Okay.
Sometimes the occasional update about the tank, but I've tried to stay away from just an update video because I know I have like I have a following, but those videos don't seem to generate as much interest as the other ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally believe you don't have enough subscribers.
Oh,
I
thanks, man.
I think you deserve a lot more, and pretty much I feel that anybody that makes videos that takes the time out of their day to make videos to just, please whoever watches them. I mean, you don't really, do it because you want 1,000 views. You do it because, you like to do it. It's for fun, as you said. So I mean,
Mhm.
I think you deserve more subscribers, and I encourage all you guys in the chat room, go subscribe to Will Hardy on Hardy Aquariums because it's a great channel, very interesting videos, and he does a great job. So you deserve more subscribers, my friend.
Thank you so much for saying that, man. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so now I thought it would be cool to do some Q&A with the audience. So if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask Will or questions about the hobby in general, me and Will can help you out with that. So I know we've been getting questions in the chat. I haven't been paying attention though. Sorry.
Oh,
But let me see if I can find some. Also, guys, just a reminder, the raffle for the free plant for this week will be at the end of the show as well. So we'll be doing that. So you can look forward to that as well. Da, 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 da. What is happening with Will's t-shirt? What?
oh, this is a
Oh, your
fisherman,
t-shirt. Oh.
and he has a fish on the back. Thought it was kind of fitting for the day.
Yeah. So many people do that on YouTube. They're always like, "What t-shirt are you wearing?" "Oh, I like your t-shirt." I always get comments on my Pink Floyd t-shirts.
And I noticed you wear Pink Floyd, and I love that because Pink Floyd is so great.
Oh yeah. Great music, man. Okay. All right. So Kyle's Aquarium says since you've dealt with plecos before, I guess he wants some tips on pleco care. So what tips do you have for people that want to keep plecos in their tanks?
Well, I would say it depends on what kind of tank you have. If you have a planted tank, it's gonna depend greatly on what kind of pleco you get. I would say bristlenose plecos are great. I've heard of people keeping clown plecos. Auto sinkless, I know they aren't plecos, but those are another great algae eater. And I keep hill stream loaches in my tank, and that's an awesome alternative to a pleco if you want a kind of like
Hillstream
glass
loaches?
cleaner. Sorry, what?
So you said Hillstream loaches?
Hill stream loaches.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
they
never heard of
almost look like a
those.
stingray.
Wow, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to look those up. I've never heard of that fish before.
Yeah, you know what? They're really great. They don't get super big, maybe about 3 inches,
Oh,
and they like to be in groups. And some of them have really cool patterns, like zigzag or spotted or solid color.
oh man, I'm definitely gonna look into those. That sounds pretty interesting. Like a
Yeah,
really
check them
cool
out.
fish. Okay, so how hard is it for a child to keep a planted tank since I am one? How would you answer that? Because I'm having a hard time with that.
I would say you're on the right track by watching this live stream.
There you go.
Yeah, just keep on researching, and I think you can do it. I don't know how old you are, but Jacob started at like 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start young, I think that's a really great thing because it gives you a lot of time to, gain a lot of knowledge and, get really experienced in this hobby. Because I mean, I think that's why I am where I am now is because I started young. Definitely. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think starting young is huge, especially if you're interested in it at such a young age. That's not a lot of things that people can say. So I would say just stick with it and go for it. You know, get a tank, try it out, keep reading and watching videos, and you'll get it. I bet you'll have a great tank.
Yeah. Yeah. So many kids, I think, aren't really. They don't really consider the aquarium hobby. I think so many kids are too into other stuff. I'm sure we can go into like Facebook, Twitter, and all kinds of social media stuff versus getting involved in a hobby that you can really do stuff with. So I think more parents should encourage their kids to get into the hobby. I mean, I think it would definitely help keep kids off the streets for sure because it does take a lot to maintain these tanks. It would take up a lot of their time.
I totally agree with you, and you learn so much from it. Even chemistry. You know what? I filled out a job application as for a sciency type position, and
Hmm.
I put that I keep fish tanks in there, and that I have a YouTube channel, and I related it to testing for nitrates and ammonia. And learning about the nitrate cycle and just all this stuff, and it really helped out.
It is so interesting because like when I first got into the hobby, I pretty much thought like you can just have a tank. You fill it with water, you put a light over it, put some fish in there, you're done. But like there is so much else that goes into it that you really don't think about when you first get into the hobby. And it is cool, learning about all that science stuff like you said, and learning what makes your aquarium tick. It is definitely good for younger kids. I would say it's like the best science project ever.
It's the best. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Somebody says, my plants keep being brown. Do you think, or okay, my plants keep turning brown, I should say. Do you think it can be because I don't dose any nutrients? So what do you think about plants turning brown besides that being their natural color?
Yeah, unless it's their natural color. Um, it could be, it could be a nutrient deficiency. It could be your substrate. It could be, I'm not sure what kind of plants they are. If they're in a kind of a lower tech plant and they're turning brown, um, maybe too much light or not enough light. It could be a number of things. What kind of plant is it?
Yeah, so if you can let us know what type of plant, we can probably better diagnose the problem. But I mean, I agree with the nutrient deficiency. That's sometimes what I notice. Like if I miss a day when I'm supposed to dose, I'll notice some plants, developing holes or developing brown spots. Also, in more sensitive plants, if you have them under really high light, I notice that they tend to develop brown spots, almost like burns on their leaves. So try to explore those two things, either nutrients or high light, and I think you can probably figure out the problem. But yeah, I mean, it would help if we knew which plant it is. So we'll move on to the next question and wait for them to give us that answer. So somebody else says, I am a female, and some friends and relatives think I'm weird because I keep tanks. Is this something others experience? Well, you're not a female, based on what I can see. But do you know of any women in this hobby? Like, do you know anybody like
Actually, I
that?
do. There's a few of my classmates who keep fish. Two girls actually, and one has a shrimp tank planted. And I would just say it's beautiful. I mean, you can have beautiful tanks that are very pretty. You can keep delicate fish. I would point to those kind of things. It doesn't have to be so like based on your gender.
All right,
I
all
think
right.
anyone can appreciate a fish tank.
All right, yeah, like I mean, I will admit this is more of a male-dominated hobby, but there are plenty of women that are in this hobby, and I think, it's interesting to see what a woman can do to a tank because they're so intricate with planting plants I've seen, and they keep some of the cutest fish. I think, like,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. They really have a touch for it. And I noticed growing up, I was never that good at art. And I remember all my girl classmates would just draw these beautiful pictures. and I'd be there drawing stick figures, you know.
And I mean, especially like, if you can have a girlfriend that loves tanks and, you love tanks yourself, I think that is the best relationship because I hear all too often from many of my customers, about, oh, my wife is going to freak out because I'm buying all these plants for the tank or I'm setting up a new tank. So some women just have a problem with the whole hobby, but, if you can find a girl that's into the hobby, I think that's the best girlfriend ever.
Yeah, no,
So
I totally agree. And I know my girlfriend is very supportive of it.
that's good.
Yeah, it helps, you know, and she always looks at the fish and talks to them, and I talk to them too, you know. It works out, but I think girls can definitely keep fish tanks. Even if you like bigger fish, like Plecostomus or something, it's cool. I think it's just cool.
Right, yeah, you don't have to like stick with little tiny fish or delicate fish, I mean, you can get big manly pleco fish and tiger oscars and,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
It's like this, you know, when you see a girl in like a big old truck driving down the street, you're like, dang, that's pretty badass, you know, or like you see a girl walking a pit bull or something, you're like, dang, that's pretty cool, you know.
It is. I totally agree. Okay, so another question. Let's see. I'm looking for a 20-pound CO2 tank for my 125. I can't find it anywhere. What's your advice? Where would you recommend people to buy CO2 tanks and stuff?
Okay, I'm not the one to answer this question because I don't have CO2, and I'm actually wondering the same thing myself.
So you'll leave it up to me. Awesome. Yay. Okay, well, there's a website called beveragefactory.com, and they actually sell aluminum CGA 320 tanks. And I say CGA 320 because that is the industrial standard thread, that regulators screw onto. So you want to make sure you get that and nothing else because then you'll have compatibility problems depending on what regulator you buy. So beveragefactory.com, they sell a variety of different aluminum tanks, and that seems to be, based on what I've researched on the internet, that seems to be the only website that really sells tanks and ships them to you for, cheap price. Now, as far as getting them filled, I know over here in California, or I contract with a company called Prax Air, and they provide me with my CO2. But you can also get your CO2 tanks refilled at like a hydroponic shop. A lot of the shops do that. It can be kind of expensive because I noticed the retail stores versus the industrial, like a welding shop or whatever, kind of charge a little bit more. But somebody's also saying Amazon. I'm sure you can find anything on Amazon nowadays. But yeah, I'm sure you can find a CO2 tank on Amazon as well. But yeah, as far as getting it refilled, you can go to a welding shop or hydroponic shop, or if you can find a company like the one that I work with in California, Praxair, you can. I'm sure you can get a tank refilled through them. But yeah, that's what I would recommend, and it just depends on where you go, because some places will definitely charge more than others. So of course, try to get a great deal because CO2 gas, it should be very cheap. If somebody's charging you $40 to fill up let's say a 5-pound tank, that's an insane price. It should be way less than that. So somebody's also saying that they got a 5-pound CO2 tank at Dick's Sporting Goods. So I would actually say the same thing. Check the sporting goods stores as well. Not sure if they can fill it up because I tried that over here. We have a store called Big Five Sporting Goods close to us, and I asked them if they can fill up CO2 tanks as well, and they said they couldn't. But some stores will fill up paintball CO2 tanks. Their sporting goods store, they should be able to do that. So I'm sure some sporting goods stores will do that as well. So check around those stores, and I'm sure you can find one that can give you some CO2 stuff. And if you're looking for regulators, I mean, I would actually recommend CGA320.com. They're a sponsor of the podcast, and it's really cool because they sell parts and actually pre-made regulators, and it's all industrial stuff. It's all metal work. It's nothing. There's no plastic or any cheap stuff on the regulators that's gonna break like some of the stuff you see on eBay. So. But yeah, if you're looking for regulators too, I would encourage you to check that site out. But there are a number of other companies that sell great regulators as well, like Aquatech. They sell great stuff as well. So check out those places, and I'm sure you can find what you're looking for. All right, next question. Somebody is asking, how many hours per day should you leave the light on for your low tech tank? Now, I know, Will, your tank is pretty much low tech, so how long do you leave your lights on for?
So this is definitely a tricky part of keeping a low tech tank. I leave mine on for 6 hours a day. I do have a fair amount of green spot algae, and my lights are pretty bright. So depending on what light you have, I would say 6 hours or less a day.
6 hours or less a day. I completely agree. Mine are on, I think they're on from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So I'm horrible at math, so I know I wouldn't get that right if I just figured out the hours off the top of my head. But I think it's around there. I think it's like 6 or 7 hours. But yeah, I mean that's a perfect amount of time for your lights to be on. Of course, you don't want to leave them on, for a long period of time because I mean, as you said, you can get algae problems, right?
Yeah, you can definitely get algae problems. And I remember when I first started keeping tanks, I left my lights on 24 hours a day.
Oh man. Yeah, but I did the same thing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best nightlight when I was a kid though. I'll have to say
Well,
that.
yeah, that's the thing is you want to look at it all the time, so you just leave it on, but it's not a good idea.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, next question. If you're supposed to turn CO2 off at night, what do you do for DIY setups? Well, that could actually be kind of difficult, but I would imagine if you're doing like oh, well, actually, that might not work. Do you want to take this question? Do you have any tips for this guy?
That's a tricky question.
Yeah.
I would try to get creative with it. Maybe take out the line or something, then put it back in. That's kind of a lot of work. I'm not
Yeah. I
sure.
mean, I was gonna recommend like some type of shut-off valve, but then I thought, well, if you shut off the gas coming from the CO2 bottle that you made and CO2 still being produced in the bottle, it's gonna get pressurized and probably explode, you
Yeah, you
know?
could have a mess.
Yeah, yeah. So um, with the DIY CO2, that can be kind of a challenge, you know? So I'm not really sure how you would do that, but I mean, as with what Will said, you probably could just take it out and maybe um, well, then again, you don't want CO2 gas leaking in your room or wherever the tank is. So that's a tough one. I'm not really sure. So I'll just say try to explore some more DIY options and see what you can find because I personally don't know. Okay, so let's see. Nice question. Nice question. Hi, my goldfish looked like it was growing, so I tried to get it out with the net to save it, but it was too late. How could I stop this from happening? What? I don't understand that one. My
Um,
goldfish looked like it was growing, so I tried to get it out with the net to save it, but it was too late. Okay,
I'm not sure.
that's I think that's one of our those random questions that you just have to be like, okay, next one. All right, I know we got some questions up there. Let me scroll up the chat. What do I need to keep a shark?
Oh,
A
okay.
really big tank.
Yeah.
Probably not a big enough tank.
Probably not a pool.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people keep blacktip reef sharks in reef tanks, but you got to have a huge tank to do something like that. And the tank you get, especially, would be probably pretty expensive because not only does it have to be a large tank, a large rectangular tank, but it has to have I'm not sure how you call it, like bowed or curved edges because the sharks normally swim in like a circular type pattern in the tank, and if you have them in a rectangular tank, they will hit themselves against the sides of the tank, and they can hemorrhage the front of their faces, and they can actually probably die from that. So not only would you need a large tank, but a specially made tank, and I've seen those tanks run upwards of like $10,000, $15,000. So I don't think sharks are for everyday hobbyists, for
Yeah,
sure.
probably not a good idea. And I don't even know what you're supposed to feed a shark.
Yeah, I mean I've seen some people for blacktip reef sharks. I've seen them throw in like feeder fish and stuff, but I'm sure there's like other high quality fish food you can feed them. But I would imagine that food bill would be pretty expensive because they could probably eat a lot as well. You know. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. All right, so la, 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 la. Somebody's saying, "Show me your nipples." No, sorry, that's not this kind of. That's not that type of show.
That costs extra.
That costs extra. Yeah, $25 a pop. Okay.
It's a good thing I have four nipples. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy. Okay, so sorry guys if I'm missing your questions. They're just coming in and they're going up. So let's see. What are some South American low light plants? So what low light plants would you recommend for low light tanks? Well,
Okay. I would say dwarf sage is a great carpeting plant for a low tech tank. You would need sand or something with it though, so keep that in mind. Cryptocorynes are also another one of my favorite low tech plants.
okay. And I would recommend Anubias plants as well. Those are low light as well. Anacris, it grows like a weed, but still a low light plant if you want to grow something, you know. But yeah, those plants would be great low light plants. So try those out. Okay, somebody's asking, what do you know about breeding catfish? I tried to breed my fish and my cat, but the cat just ate it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What
but
kind of catfish?
he says his cat ate his fish, so I don't think he's being serious.
Oh, the cat. Oh, like his house cat.
Yeah, that's a little okay. Well, if your cat ate your fish, I don't know why you'd be asking if you can breed it because that doesn't make sense because it's probably no longer alive.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt NYC says, Will, have you watched Tanked? What's your opinion on that show?
Honestly, I really enjoy Tanked. I think those guys are hilarious. I will say about the fish though that I'm not sure if they necessarily overstock tanks, but it's hard to imagine that a lot of these companies and stuff are gonna take good care of their fish. So I'm sure they're on some kind of uh, maintenance plan.
Hmm.
But you know what? I love that show. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I like Tank too. I don't have cable anymore. I have Netflix, so I can't watch it.
Nice.
Excuse me. But I try to catch it on if there's some YouTube clips or whatever. And I mean, I will agree that they do typically overstock tanks, you know, and I'm always curious, you know, what's been done with those tanks afterwards, like how's the tanks evolved because like one tank they built for a cat, not a museum, but like a cat facility, like they take care of sick cats or whatever, or uh, stray cats. And it was a rectangular tank, and they put like I think 120 goldfish in it. And I'm just thinking, goldfish are like the messiest fish ever, and you have them in this 80-gallon tank, and you have 100 of them. I mean, how in the hell is that tank gonna last more than a week before ammonia levels are out of the roof? You know. So that's one thing I've always been curious about is like the aftermath because it doesn't seem like most of the tanks that they make with and they put all these fish in would last too long, you know?
Yeah, and I was actually wondering the same exact thing, and I looked it up, and I couldn't find anything. I wanted to see like someone like us doing an update on their tank a
Yeah,
year after tanked or something, and I couldn't find anything on it.
yeah. And there was another episode too where they built a tank in somebody's backyard. Like it was I forget the name of the guy, but he was this famous baseball player, I think, and they built this tank in his backyard under his little patio thing. But I'm just thinking, okay, you're in Las Vegas. It gets about 100. I used to live there. It gets about 115 degrees in the summer. I know you can put a chiller on a tank, but how is that tank gonna survive in that kind of temperature change? And so they do some pretty crazy stuff, you know, and I like the show, but it's just weird because like I think it's geared more towards people that really aren't experienced in this hobby because for us guys that are experienced, we watch the show and we're like what are they doing, you know? Like
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those people are very wealthy, obviously, because they're
oh
getting
yeah.
these huge tanks, and it's almost like they see a fish tank somewhere and they're like, oh, I need to have that, I want that, and then they get one, but they don't realize what it really takes to run one.
Right, yeah, like most of the clients, I mean as you said, they do have a lot of money and I pretty much agree. They just get into the tank because they can, but not necessarily do they do any research or are they into the hobby that way. They just like they see a tank, oh, it's beautiful, that's what I want. You know, they don't really do their research. And I think that's why when when those guys from the show, they set up a tank, and it has like, it's a small tank and it has like 100 fish in it. The people are like, wow, it's beautiful, but they're not thinking what we're thinking, like, oh, that's going to be a disaster in a week.
Yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah, seriously.
yeah. And
And
then I'll,
I saw one of those tanks where it was like a temporary tank and they set it up for an event and then they take it down and move it. And I mean, it looked great when they did it, but just the logistics of it, I'm not sure what they even take into account.
yeah, that was for that company Nike, I think, and they built it for like a promotional event that they were doing. But yeah, I mean, a temporary tank, that is just so, imagine the stress that was put on the fish that were in there. I mean, that's, I don't know. I just don't
Yeah.
agree with some of the stuff they do. And then also, I don't know if you've seen the video on YouTube, but a lot of people that buy these gigantic tanks have actually had issues where they have just split open and just completely broken apart. Yeah. And I mean, you think about it, it's like it's a giant tank. The customer's probably spent at least, especially like on a big tank over, 10, $15,000, and it just splits open. I mean, what kind of craftsmanship is that for that kind of money? You
Oh,
know?
that's like, I feel like that's every Aquarius' worst
Oh
nightmare.
God, yes. Yeah. Yeah, there is a guy on YouTube. If you guys get the chance, look up Peter's Fish Tank. If you just type in that on YouTube, he had, I swear, it was the most beautiful, most gorgeous saltwater tank, and he had so many different individual scenes and environments and stuff in this tank. It was just so spectacular. And one day I saw a post on his Facebook page that the tank, he posted about it. He didn't do any video because I think he was pretty upset, but this tank just came open and just he lost, I think it was over 1,000 different species of fish. All his corals, most of the corals are dead, and the tank was made by ATM in Las Vegas. So um, that's pretty concerning to me, and I think that should be to people that, rich people obviously, that are going to get tanks from them, because something seems to be going on with the way they construct tanks. And then not only that, but there was one in a casino. There's also a video of that on YouTube as well, that split open and spilled like, I think 5,000 gallons of water in the casino um, uh, room. And crazy, absolutely crazy stuff. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Oh, well, I had never heard of those stories, but that's really unacceptable, especially when you shell out that kind of money.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, guys, look up Peter's fish tank on YouTube, and I mean, he has videos of it, but that tank is no more, as far as what I know from what he's said on Facebook. So pretty disappointing, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they seem like a good company. They have good intentions, but I think maybe they need to pay attention to quality a little bit. Tanks are just splitting right open.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So going back to the question, somebody asked, what fishes can you put with a beta fish? What would you recommend?
So I know beta fish kind of get a bad rap because people think they're like super aggressive, and they are aggressive, but mostly with each other and especially the males. So if you have two males in the same tank, they're gonna fight, and probably one will kill the other one. So if you have one male beta, I mean, I think I've seen them with like neon tetras. Mostly any kind of tetra, I would say. Be careful of fin nippers. Do you have any other suggestions?
Well, I mean, I haven't kept betas for a while. I think the last beta I kept was in a 10-gallon tropical tank when I was 13, around there. And I think I mixed it with Pallades, Danio minnows, neon tetras, and I believe I had a pleco in there as well. And they were all fine, but I mean, what I've been told with betas is that you can't keep them with each other, but you can keep them with community fish, and they'll be just fine. So that's pretty much all I know about the beta fish. But yeah, I mean, I haven't kept one since I was a kid, so it's hard to say. But yeah, do would you agree that they can just be in any tropical tank? Like they're pretty much fine with other fish besides their own species?
Yeah, pretty much any tropical community fish about the same size, and definitely watch out for fin nippers. But yeah, I would totally agree.
Okay. All right. Somebody's asking, what is your favorite shrimp? So, what's your favorite species of shrimp, Will?
Oh, my favorite species of shrimp is the cardinal shrimp. They're
Oh,
so
beautiful.
cool. Yeah, they're really expensive. I just have cherry shrimp in my tank. But those cardinal shrimp, man, they come from like Indonesia or something, and they're all spotted. They're red with white spots, and then they have white claws. So when they grab, it just looks so cool.
Really, really nice. Okay, so let's see. Do you keep betas with guppies? Can you keep betas with guppies? I would imagine you can.
I would think you can, but I'm seeing in the chat everyone's saying don't keep betas with guppies. So I don't know. I would have thought you could though.
Okay, so maybe there's this thing that we don't know yet about guppies and betas. There's this
Yeah.
yeah, so okay, I guess you can't. A lot of people are saying you can't. So what happened to the call-in ability for this week's episode? We'll get to your calls at the end of the show, guys. Don't worry. I haven't abandoned that feature yet. You guys will be able to call in. Um, okay, so goldfish are messy. Yes, they are. They are very messy fish. Have you ever had goldfish in a tank, Will?
You know what? I never have.
Oh, okay.
I know you had some beautiful goldfish.
Yeah, I had some giant Chinese goldfish I got from believe it or not, the guy's name is Jackie Chan's fish farm. I'm not joking. That is his name. But
You
yeah,
know he's
there's
legit.
yeah, there is a guy. His name's Tommy Hoy, and he's from Texas, and he has like a goldfish farm in Texas. But he gets his fish. He travels to China actually. I think 2 or 3 times a year, and he gets fish from Jackie Chan's fish farm, and he's able to get so many different types of goldfish that you normally don't see in the stores around here, like calico ranchus, beautiful black orandas and black ranchus, and just such awesome goldfish. So, I mean, yeah, those fish were probably the most beautiful goldfish I've ever owned because no local store could ever match up to that. So, yeah, those fish were awesome, and I do miss them, but they are pretty happy where they are now because they're in a pretty big tank. I've heard. So,
Nice.
yeah,
And I do appreciate everything that goes into like goldfish. I mean, there's shows for goldfish, kind of like koi, they're rated and graded, and there's different traits that people find desirable. So I think goldfish are awesome. I've just never personally kept them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of koi, I mean, koi are pretty much the same thing as with goldfish. People are really, really getting into the whole koi hobby, and some koi can, I mean, fetch prices of like I think I've seen some for like $30,000, like really, really expensive koi that have been bred specifically for their pattern. Like the most popular pattern I know of is called kohaku, and it's that three-step red pattern on those three red spots. And I mean, as I said, I've seen some of those fish for insane amounts of money, but and I mean goldfish too. Goldfish get up really high with some prices as well. I mean, if you go to some goldfish shows, I mean, they have some fish that, they come from a long bloodline of, fish that were selected for their color. And, so it took a long time to get to that beautiful fish, and they can get pretty expensive. So,
Do you
yeah.
know like kind of some price ranges of goldfish? I'm just interested.
The goldfish on Tommy Huey's website that I saw would range in price, I would say, from 65 to all the way up to $150. Now, the
Wow.
$150 fish would be like really beautiful show quality fish, and they sell out really quickly. So it seems like the goldfish hobby's kind of grown over the years. So he sells the really, really high quality goldfish pretty fast. So they may be hard to get, but they are the most expensive. I would say on his website. But yeah, 65 to $150. The one I bought, my Oranda I got for I think $75. My Calico Ranchu I got for I think it was like 55 or $60, and then my orange oranda, the really big one that I had, that one was $130. So they
Wow.
they are pretty pricey, but you know what? They are so beautiful. They are beautiful fish, and when they get really big, they're so majestic. You can just really appreciate them. So, um, and I mean, I used to own koi before too. Like when I lived in my other apartment, believe it or not, I built this hundred and I think it was like 200-gallon pond on my balcony. It was the most insane project I've ever done.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I made videos about it, but I'll have to look in my channel. But I bought this koi. It was they call it a Tashio Sanke koi, and it has red, orange, black spots on it. And I got that fish from Kodama Koi Farm in Hawaii. They actually shipped it to me, and that fish was $350. So koi fish are the same thing like goldfish. They can get pretty high up there, but I really think that when you spend that kind of money on a goldfish, you get like the most beautiful goldfish or koi. I mean, they look so cool and so high quality. Um,
Yeah, there's so many like different kinds of koi, and some of the I think they're all beautiful, but I've looked into it a little bit also, and there is a difference, when you see like a $10 koi compared to a 200 $300 koi.
oh yeah. Yeah, and, if you guys get the chance, go to I believe it's just koi.com, and that's the website for a fish farm in Japan. It's called Sakai Fish Farm, and they have a bunch of koi for sale on their website. I believe they do auctions, and you'll see some of the koi that are like $2,000 to $3,000, but they're just so beautiful. If I had a house and the money, I would build a giant pond and keep those in there because they're just so cool. So okay, well we got about 10 minutes left of the show, so I'm gonna morph into taking some calls. So Will, thank you so much for joining me on this show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I had a great time, and thanks to everyone who was watching. You can check my channel out, Hardy Aquariums. I have a picture of a Bolivian ram next to it, so thank you so much for everything.
Cool. And are you on Twitter or Facebook or anything?
I have a Facebook. It's Hardy Aquariums also. Just check it out. That one has a picture of a blue smoky angelfish.
Okay. Well, check out Hardy Aquariums on YouTube, guys. He deserves more subscribers for what he does. His videos are awesome. So go to Hardy Aquariums and subscribe today. Thanks again for joining me, Will. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.